Your registration form works, your confirmation email sends, your spreadsheets are up to date. So why is it that something goes sideways every single time? A guest shows up and she tells you that she never ever got the welcome email. Your team member can't find the time that the caterer or a vendor is supposed to arrive because it's saved in your email from 3 weeks ago. An automation sequence that you set up months ago fired at the wrong time, and so now your guests are getting information that's out of sequence and makes absolutely no sense. None of these are catastrophic, but it's enough to make you wonder if everything is actually being handled correctly. And if any of this is sounding familiar, just know that it's not a tool problem and it's not random. There's a specific reason why this keeps happening, and that's what we're going to get into in today's video. So here's what I'm seeing a lot of the time when I'm seeing how retreat hosts are setting up their tech. And I want to be careful with this because it's not a criticism, it's just an observation of a pattern I've noticed. You're setting things up as you need them. You decided you're going to plan your first retreat, so you needed a registration form. So you went and set one up. And then you realized that you needed to send a confirmation email. So then you went and typed that up, set that up, and started getting those sending. And then you realize that you need to track the information that you're getting from that registration form. So then you either set up a spreadsheet or you use the platform that you already have in your tech stack. And each one of those pieces, they work and they do what they are supposed to do individually. But having tools that work great on their own is not the same as having a system where everything comes and works together. That distinction is important because if your registration form is collecting that information, that's great. But if it's then not going into a place where your team can actually use it and access it automatically, that's a problem. A confirmation sends, and that's great. But if it's not triggering the next step in your guest experience, that right there is leaving something to fall through the cracks. A spreadsheet that's tracking that registration information is great, but if it's not continuously being updated with the correct information, then your team is working from old data. The difference between tech that's set up and tech that's built is connection. Setup means that each piece is functioning, but a build means that each piece is talking to the next step. The information flows to where it needs to go, and each piece has been tested to know that it's working under real world conditions. And I'm not just talking about clicking preview during setup. I'm talking about real world conditions when you've got 40 something people registering and your team needs information instantly. So if your tech is just being set up but not built, that right there is a gap that is causing all these small failures that you've been experiencing. So now that you understand that it's not the tools, but how everything is fitting together, the next question is, where exactly is it breaking down? And from what I've seen from working years behind the scenes of events, there are 4 key areas where things tend to break. And the reason that they're so hard to catch is because none of them actually look like failures on the surface. The first one is disconnection. This is when your tools aren't talking to one another. Your registration form collects your guest's dietary restriction, but that information is being stored within whatever platform the form was made in. It's not getting transferred into the document that your caterer actually needs. Or say your guest fills out a questionnaire and that information again lives whatever that form is taking place, and nobody checks it again after the first week. Disconnection creates manual work, and manual work creates opportunities for things to get missed. Every time that you or someone on your team has to manually take information from one place and put it into another, that right there is a disconnection gap. The next one is incompleteness. This is when a layer of your tech hasn't been built yet at all. You have your registration set up, but you don't have the post-registration communication flow. You have a spreadsheet, but you don't have a coordination hub that your team can access so that they can get that information quickly. You've got the pieces that were urgent when you were setting up, but you forgot to go back and build the pieces that were less urgent until it was too late. Incompleteness is a sneaky one because you don't realize what's missing until it's too late, and you realize you need that now. If you've never seen a complete text setup side by side to yours, then you never know what it is exactly that it is you are missing. The third one is outdated information, and this is one that really gets to people on event day. Your system was set up correctly at one point, but now we're 8 weeks away from the event. Things have changed rapidly, and nobody has kept track and kept everything in the system updated. A guest changed room, a speaker adjusted their session time or their topic, a new vendor replaced the original, and the document or the automation that was supposed to be updating or making these changes, it's still running the same information from 6 weeks ago. Your tools are working, but they're working on old information, and that means your team is now running and making decisions based on that old information, things that are no longer current. And the last and final one is invisibility. This is the hardest one because invisibility means there's a gap in your system that you're completely unaware of because you haven't ever seen a complete system. You can't audit what you don't know is supposed to exist. And so as a result, you check the things that you are aware of. The registration form works? Great. The email sends? Check. The spreadsheet is there? Perfect. And so then you walk away thinking that everything is covered. But the things that should be there, like the automation that should exist but doesn't, the communication flow that hasn't been mapped, the team access that has never been configured, those are all invisibility gaps. And they only become visible when something starts to go wrong on event day. Before we go on, I want to mention something that kind of goes hand in hand with what we're discussing today, and that is my free resource, the Event Systems ROI Audit. This is a self-assessment that walks you through the 5 areas of your back-end systems of your event. And it shows you where systems are supporting you in your business, as well as some areas that may be costing you time and money. If what we've been talking about today has been hitting a little close to home, this audit will help you. You can find the link down in the description below. So now you know where things can break. And now I want to talk about how those gaps can actually cost you, especially because they're not always obvious. The first cost is guest experience friction. Your guest arrives to the event and she tells you she never got that pre-event email that talks about the welcome and all the details to get them prepared and excited for the event. Now, you're left scrambling, trying to get her the information so that she can get up to date while also trying to welcome your other guests. It's not catastrophic, but it is a crack in the experience, and your guest notices it. She might not say anything, but she does notice. Or let's say your guest registered for a session and then at some point she changed it. And that information isn't reflected on her agenda because the team is still running off of old information. So now there's this moment of confusion at check-in that shouldn't even exist. The second cost is team coordination friction. When a team member needs information and they can't find it, where do they go? To you. When a vendor is looking for something or has a question and your assistant doesn't know the answer, where are they going to go and get the answer from? You. Every gap in your tech behind the scenes becomes a question that will end up pulling you out of the room and into fix-it and problem-solving mode. And that right there is what we like to call an attention tax. It's the price that you pay for every piece of information not being in a place that it's supposed to live, that is accessible to your team. And the third cost is one that nobody talks about, and that is your brand. Guests don't always name what feels off about the experience. It's not like they're going to say, oh, that tech didn't seem like it was set up in the back end. They don't know that. But they can feel it. They feel it when the communication is inconsistent, when that registration or that welcome just isn't smooth. They feel it when something about the experience just didn't land quite the way it was supposed to. And the frustrating part is that everything that they're feeling is from things that were set up weeks ago that went unnoticed until event day. Now, everything that we've talked about today, the disconnection, the incompleteness, the outdated information, and the invisible gap, All of that leads to one question. How do we actually find the gaps in our system before the event day arrives? Because the thing is, you can't fix what you can't see, and checking each system one by one isn't an audit, it's spot checking. A real audit looks at every layer of your tech setup to make sure that it's speaking, connecting, and not just something that exists. And that's what I'm walking you through in the next video. I'm going to walk you through a full checklist for auditing your retreat tech so that you can see exactly where things are solid and what areas need attention. Go ahead and click the video on your screen right now and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's next.